When an avoidant says, let's be friends, here's the real message they're sending. Let's talk about one of the most confusing sentences you will ever hear from an avoidant partner. Let's be friends. On the surface, it sounds harmless, respectful, even mature. But if you've ever dealt with a dismissive avoidant, you know nothing they say is as simple as it sounds. That one sentence can flip your world upside down. Because for you, let's be friends might feel like rejection coated in sugar. But for them, it carries a completely different meaning, one that reveals their fear, their need for control, and the emotional distance they fight to maintain at all costs. Today, we're breaking down the psychology behind this phrase, and once you understand it, you'll never fall for this emotional loophole again. The first thing you need to understand is this. Avoidants don't say, let's be friends, to stay close to you. They say it to stay safe from you. Avoidants are experts at emotional buffering. They don't cut people off in a dramatic way unless they feel trapped. Instead, they downshift relationships slowly, just enough to lower the emotional temperature. Let's be friends is their way of keeping you far enough away to protect themselves, but close enough to relieve their guilt. It's a defensive maneuver disguised as a gentle offer. To them, friendship is a safe container, a place where expectations disappear, demands vanish, and vulnerability becomes optional. And that's exactly how they like it. But here's the part they'll never openly admit. Let's be friends is about maintaining control. In their mind, if they completely let you go, the story ends. The connection dies. And most avoidants don't want that. They like the idea of you being in the background, emotionally available. But at a distance they can manage, friendship gives them exactly that. It allows them to decide the pace, the tone, and the level of intimacy. You become something like an emotional bookmark, still there, but not being read. They can return whenever they feel comfortable, without the pressure of commitment or closeness. Now let's talk about what friends really means to an avoidant. It does not mean the same thing it means to you. You might think of friendship as connection, support, closeness, and stability. But for a dismissive avoidant, friendship means less emotional responsibility. It means they get to erase the romantic expectations that made them feel suffocated. This isn't friendship as a mutual bond. It's friendship as an emotional downgrade. They aren't trying to build something new with you. They're trying to create a version of the relationship where they don't have to show up deeply, consistently, or vulnerably. And here's what most people miss. When an avoidant says, let's be friends, they are not actually thinking about your feelings. They're thinking about avoiding their own discomfort. Avoidants hate the idea of being the villain. They don't want to feel like they broke your heart, even if their disconnection did exactly that. Offering friendship is their attempt to soften the blow. It lets them say, see, I'm not abandoning you. I care. I'm being kind. But it's kindness with strings attached. Because what they're really doing is setting up emotional boundaries that protect them, but leave you confused and hurting. Let's go deeper. Avoidants struggle with guilt more than people realize. They don't show guilt, they show distance. But underneath their silence, there's often anxiety about being responsible for someone else's emotions. Let's be friends becomes a guilt management strategy. It allows them to walk away without feeling like they caused pain. It helps them maintain a moral high ground in their own mind. You see, avoidant attachment isn't just fear of closeness. It's fear of needing someone and fear of being needed. So when they sense you need more emotional investment than they can give, they retreat into the safety of friendship because it protects them from the vulnerability they refuse to face. But here's the twist. Sometimes let's be friends is not a goodbye at all. It's a placeholder. Avoidants rarely close the door fully. They want options. They want emotional GPS tracking. They like knowing you're still somewhere on the map. Friendship allows them to check in without committing. It's the perfect halfway point. Not together, but not gone. They'll still watch your stories. They'll still casually message you. They'll still keep an eye on your energy. Not because they're planning something, but because they're trying to manage the emotional distance without losing the emotional supply. In avoidance psychology, this is called proximity management. Staying friends is simply a way of regulating their comfort. But let's get brutally honest about the real message behind let's be friends. What they're really saying is, I don't want the responsibility of a relationship, but I don't want the pain of losing you. I'm not ready for intimacy, but I'm also not ready for emptiness. I don't want to give more, but I don't want you to walk away completely. That single sentence carries all of this. It's emotional half-commitment at its finest. Now let's talk about you, because this is where most people get stuck. You hear "let's be friends" and think, maybe this is a step toward reconciliation. But with avoidance, the more you accept friendship, the less they feel urgency. You're giving them everything they want, comfort without responsibility. They don't have to face the fear of losing you. They don't have to face their own emotional limitations. They don't have to grow. And most importantly, they don't have to feel the consequences of their distance. If you accept friendship too quickly, you teach them one thing, that you will always be available, even at a lower emotional level. In their mind, this reinforces their belief that they can keep people close without actually showing up. It confirms their worldview that intimacy is risky, but people don't leave if you push them away. They simply adjust, and that's exactly what you don't want. So what should you do when an avoidant says, "let's be friends"? First, don't panic. Don't cling. Don't negotiate. Understand the psychological message behind it. They are trying to regulate their fear, not repair the relationship. The most powerful thing you can do in that moment is to respectfully decline the friendship. Not with anger, not with drama, but with clarity. You say something like, "I appreciate the offer, but I need space and clarity right now, not a downgraded connection." That one sentence does something avoidants do not expect. It creates a boundary. It interrupts their control. It forces them to feel the reality of losing you, and that emotional contrast is what triggers their internal reflection. Here's what people never tell you. Avoidants don't grow when you accommodate them. They grow when they experience your absence. Friendship prevents that. It softens the emotional lesson. When you choose space instead of friendship, you give them the one thing they truly run from: the mirror. They are forced to confront their emotional avoidance. They are